We have a lot to talk about. Why don't you have a seat?
Go ahead.
What's going on, guys? Logan JYA Drykage here, and today we are breaking down the June 2023 Yu-Gi-Oh format. I have never done a tier list before in my entire life, which means you can't judge me too hard for the terrible decisions that I'm about to make. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments down below. Tell me how wrong I am, but I'm telling you right now, I'm calling every darn thing right, baby. Without further ado, let's get into it. So we already know what deck falls into the goated category here. It's Drytron. We don't even got to think about that. It's going to be sticking right up here on the top. All seriousness, we will properly tier Drytron at the end of the video, so stick around till the end. But we're going to take it one step at a time. We got the top 20 decks by consideration of our chat up here in the tier list, and we're going to go through it piece by piece. We got a bunch of options ranging from Rogue up to tier 1. We got the Biff category, where we're going to throw absolute garbage into that category. Without further ado, let's dive into it. We're starting things off with the Exo Sisters, bro. You know the nuns. These guys, man, you got to go talk to the Penguin. It's a heavy graveyard control deck, and honestly, some of my friends in chat, shout out my boy, I think it was Brahim Yokman, and honestly, a few people were telling me that this deck is just kind of booty without it not being a tier element heavy or a graveyard heavy format in general. However, I think that might be discrediting the deck a little bit too much, so I don't think it belongs in the Biff category. I'm going to throw it up in Rogue for now, maybe even in Tier 3, but I think it probably belongs in Rogue. We also got to talk about the fact they got them Spirit Monsters to support them a little bit, facilitate their combos one tap of a bit easier, and have them as additional extenders. Next, we got Tier Elements. That's right, everyone knows I'm kind of a fan of this deck, and I'm going to have to be honest with you guys here. We did even see it sneak into the top cut of YCS Philadelphia. Bro, I wish I had the cojones to play this deck in that format. I honestly think this deck has still got a lot of gas going for it. It's got some serious power behind there, even after the evisceration of the banlist. Bro, I'm easily putting this at Tier 3 at worst. I think the deck, the engine itself is just too darn powerful. Trust me, you can take this deck in, easily sweep a locals with it. The only thing that stops it from moving up even further is the fact that Cash Tier is still going to be a real deck. Shifter still going to see play. Got to stay ready on that front. The Rikas, the Rika Sun Avalon piles, the plant decks, whatever you want to call it, bro. I gotta be honest with y'all, I really think this is easily either a Tier 3 or a Tier 2. It's a tough call. It's a really tough call, man. I gotta stick this joint in Tier 2 because we still see it popping up in top cuts of the last format. It may very well sneak up into top cuts of this format. The greatest asset that this deck has, outside of that insane field spell with the tribute in your cards, outside of that insane monster effect negation that triggers from the graveyard, is that a lot of people don't really know what the deck does still at this point, which is crazy to me, but it can really punish players who are unaware of exactly all the points of interaction that it has, so it's very easy to lose to. That means it's always going to be, like, possible to sneak into that top cut with a good pilot behind it. So I gotta throw that up in Tier 2, 100%. Oh no, it's the branded betas. The branded betas, we can't avoid them, man. We're looking at our boy Mirror Jade. We're lumping Despia here. I'd even go as far as to say, like, even those Despia Synchro variants, if you want to lump those in here too, throw them on and it's all fine. It's all good and dandy, because you know where it belongs? Bro, that's Tier 1, man. That's Tier 1, man. Expulsion, man, dude, they still got all their core engine pieces. I was hoping for Fusion to 1, my guys. I was really hoping they were going to snipe those nuts off that deck, but unfortunately, it's going to be sticking around. I don't know if you guys knew this. You can still puppet lock, bro. It doesn't matter. If you really wanted to, you can use the Albion Fusion, the new one that just came out. You can still do the puppet lock. That's why I think Droplets is going to be very powerful. And even going into their standard end board, Droplets is still going to be a very, very strong card. We're going to be playing through less interruption that way. Regardless, we gotta respect this deck, man. They still got Branded Fusion at 3. It's one of the most powerful one-card combos in the darn deck, man. And they got so many ways to access it. They got the Quem. They've got the goated Fusion monsters. Bro, this deck is scary. They have access to Dragoon. I could go on and on and on, but I'm not gonna bore you to death. It's Tier 1. We don't gotta say any more than that. Dragon Link, bro. This encompasses Bestial Dragon Link, those Synchro climbs, those Link climbs. You already know, this deck is still relatively solid, but if I'm being honest, man, I'm sticking this joint behind Tier Elements. I think that Tier Elements is actually more unfair than Dragon Link right now. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. Honestly, bro, flame me all you want for it. But I think that Tier, even with all the hits, is still more unfair than Dragon Link is. But Bestials might prove me wrong there. I think the Bestials are very, very strong. I put them on very similar, equal caliber. I do think it's worse than the Rika deck. I think the Rika deck actually does the same thing that Dragon Link does, but better right now. So this is why I think that I'm going to stick that in that category right there. Moving on, we've got this thing, the Dinomorphias, bro. Apparently, they snuck into the top cut of YCS Philly. And you know what I gotta say, man? That deck loses so hard to Drytron, bro. It loses so hard to Drytron. It even loses to a Saratobi pop from Super Heavy Samurai if they're playing it right. But, honestly, bro, this really might be one of those few decks that I feel very confident in throwing into the Rogue, like the back end of the Rogue. I think this deck, I still genuinely think this deck is garbage. But prove me wrong in the comments down below. If you think I'm incorrect, let me know, let me know, let me know. I think that Labyrinth is a better trap deck. Eldritch is a better trap deck. Doesn't cost you so many infinite life points. And again, good players know how to beat this. If you played against it before, you kind of know the best ways to work around it. In fact, I'm going to... Man, I hope the Dinomorphia players come at my throat in the comments. I'm going to throw it in biff. This deck sucks. I'm standing by that one. Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage. Oh my gosh. Striker... Double engage, double multi-roll, triple, really, but you're only playing 2. I'm going to stick this in the back end of Rogue. All of you people who want to simp for Ray, go have at it. I don't think your deck is that crazy. It's still too... It's old, man. It's old. Largely been power crept. Still got some insane, unfair plays in there, but, man, I'm going to stick it in the back end, bro. There's still so many ways to shut this deck down. However, I could see myself being proved wrong on this front. If I am, so be it. I maybe would creep into tier 3 status, but again, the age of the deck, I think power creep has kind of come a long way from the times of Sky Strikers. Isn't that insane to think that, you know, Engage could safely come back right now? I think it's a safe bring back. I think that I might be wrong, so prove me wrong. Go take your Striker deck, top of YCS, top of Regional, do what you gotta do. But I'm sticking it in Rogue for right now, guys. And speaking of Rogue decks, bro, I'm going to stick this back here in the back end of Rogue as well. We got our friends, the Draco Slayers. It is a powerful engine, excuse me, a powerful pendulum strategy. They're very, very, very strong, but far from biff and far from on the tier list, in my opinion. One good, strong duelist could come along and prove me wrong on this front as well, but I gotta say, it's a scary deck. It's still a 2 to 3 card combo deck. If you're going to play it as the Draco Slayers, you bring in your Performa pals, you might see it moving up a little bit more. But right now, I am going to keep it up in there, in the Rogue strategy. Alright. Oh, people are going to hate me for this one. Eldritch, bro? I'm sticking it above Tier, Dragon Link. I'm sticking it above all this stuff. Yo, the Striker players are going to come at me too. Purple cards still be insane. Skill drain's at 3, bro. I honestly think that Eldritch is just the better power creep version of Sky Striker. Man, again, come at me. Honestly, you're more than welcome to. But Eldritch has still been topping. Eldritch has still been topping. My man Mega Capital G was doing this deck proud, bro. This is still a very powerful strategy. I am going to make a lot of enemies with this list, and I don't care. I am sticking Eldritch above both Tier, both Dragon Link, both all those other things. Genuinely respecting the purple cards. Now, speaking of the purple cards, I'm actually going to skip ahead a little bit, and I'm going to stick this joint up here. The Labyrinths. Regardless of the build, man, I think this is a Tier 1 deck still. Access to those viruses, man, it's horrifying. You can play this as either a heavy, hard trap deck, or as a hand trap filled slaughterfest. It's scary, guys. It's genuinely scary, and it's got so many points of interaction, many of which can be hard to dodge. And it's proven time and time again that this is a high-caliber deck, and a lot of high-caliber players are choosing to play it. I think it belongs in the Tier 1 status. We might have another Biff deck here, low-key, the Mana Domes, but I'm going to stick it right around here, right behind Sky Striker. I'm going to stick the Mana Domes. I'm probably wrong on this one, guys, because I know the end boards that this deck can put up. I've lost to this deck before, too. It's insane. It's insane when it gets working. However, it's also very, very susceptible to interruption. Very, very stoppable, and it can struggle heavily to play through a board, at least in my experience playing against it. Being that I haven't piloted it myself, I could be wrong here, but I'm going to stick it in the Rogue status for now. It could be one that we see creeping up later in its life, but for now, I think this is an appropriate place for it in the tail end of Rogue. Let's move on. Oh, man, the stupid Flaunderies. I mean, Harpy's Featherstorm is still a hell of a card. If I was going to put this anywhere, it'd either be at the back end of Rogue or at the bottom half of Biff, bro. This doesn't belong on the tier list, man. It's the freaking... Oof. You know what? Honestly, I hate Robinia. I hate her so much. Keep it in the Biff. Shifter. Sure, Shifter's a scary freaking card, but you know what do you have? Moving on. Quick transition. We've got a tier 1 deck that's still going to be playing it, and I hate I genuinely hate to put Kashtira still at tier 1. But, man, it's a lot more fair. I still think it's going to be horrifying to deal with. I really do. Still got triple shifter. Still got triple birth, man. Still got double unicorn. It just became more fair without Mind Hacker. But you can still end your field with unicorn. First point of interaction, the opponent attempts to use a monster effect. Cool. You're ripping that extra. Show me that extra. You're going to be taking a look at that extra. Honestly, man, it is still a tier 1 deck. So I am keeping it in the tier 1 category. I'm putting it at the back end right now, though. Compared to the other 2 decks, I definitely think it is worse. But it's still powerful. It's still powerful. That's why I think we got to be ready for it with our side decks, genuinely. Sword Soul. Sussy Sword Soul. We got Apple Dragon in there. We got Denglong if you choose to play it. Oh my gosh, dude. I'm going to stick this thing right where it belongs, and that's going to be top of tier 2, bro. Top of tier 2. Sword Soul. Still got infinite room for hand traps. Long Yong Burn for game. Throwing up insane boards. Dude, I think this deck's worst enemy is itself, genuinely. It's just seeing those unplayable hands. But it's still very, very consistent. It's still very consistent. And the Tenyi package, oh my gosh, it goes together like peanut butter and jelly. I think this is right where it belongs. Top of tier 2, still a very powerful strategy. I hate to respect it so much, but you gotta. You genuinely gotta. Sword Soul is still pretty good. We're gonna see it sneaking into top cuts this format. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. Moving on, we got the trap tricks, the fap tricks for those sussy characters who choose to play this deck. Honestly, bro, I genuinely highly consider calling Chris Hansen on any trap trick players I run into, bro.
Why don't you have a seat there and get comfortable for that?
Where do I put this on the tier list? I stick this at the either top half of Rogue or back end of tier 3. Honestly, bro, you know what? No, I'm gonna go a little harder on it. I think Striker's better than the trap tricks. Genuinely. Trap tricks is still very strong. It's very, very strong, but it's also very beatable. Trap hole cards are only so good. I'm gonna be honest. Eldritch has got better purple cards than Trap Tricks does, and I would say Eldritch also has better points of interaction and doesn't conflict like... Trap Tricks can't play things like Skill Drain or the Floodgates, while Eldritch can. And that's kind of just what has me thinking it's the most inferior trap deck. It's more of a mid-range deck, if we're being honest. But on this list, think about it as a trap deck or a mid-range deck. I'm still going to say it's worse than Striker, and it's worse than most of the other things we see on here. The Pearlies. Post that banlist hit, the deck has to play a lot of weird stuff to get it going. I've played against it once post banlist, and I was not impressed. I was very unimpressed, if I'm being honest. I'm genuinely thinking, bro, honestly, I'll slap up the Floowandereeze into Rogue, and I'll stick the Pearlies down here and biff, dude. All they got was a consistency hit. Sure. They can't OTK as easy anymore, and they got a consistency hit. Them losing the ability to OTK like that, bro, it does make a big flipping difference. And honestly, this is another one. Okay, all right, let's respect it a little bit more. All right, we'll respect it a little bit more. I'm genuinely going to put it behind Striker still. I'm going to stick behind Striker. I think Striker's better than Pearly right now. No joke. It's more consistent. It's less susceptible to interruptions. I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to put it right where it belongs. It's worse than Striker. Middle of Rogue. It ain't even on the tier list. But people are still going to try and play it. I think people are still going to try and play it, which means it might be highly represented, which might mean it sneaks into a top cut somewhere, squeaks in there. But I don't think so. I don't think it's actually going to happen. Sprite. The Sprite Knights, bro. Okay, starter to 2. How much did that really do? I know I don't have Runic on this list, which is definitely an oversight. Probably would stick Runic in that tier 2, tier 3 category. I'm putting that out there as doing top 20 decks. Honestly, we could take this out completely and just say that's Runic. Pretend, for all intents and purposes, that Runic is right here in the tier 2 category, okay? Kind of messed up with that one. I still think Runic is still pretty strong. But Sprite, bro. Sprite, oof, that deck is nice, dude. That deck is going to be so nice, man. You still got the infinite room for hand traps. You've got one-card combos that take you places, bro. You can still put up totally awesome even after another hit. It's just a consistency hit. And you can lump it in with the Runic builds. It's still going to be very legitimate, man. I'm putting that at the tail end of tier 1, hands down. Sprite players, unite, bro. We've got a lot of things we can do and that we can cook with. I'm going to be completely honest. Super sussy samurais. Oh, jeez. The super heavies. Ah, guys. My guys. Losing Scarecrow hurt. They do still have one-card combos, they do, but they're very susceptible. It's not going to be as resilient as something like Cash, like Sprite, like Branded. Even Branded can survive and play through an Ash on Branded Fusion now, dude. That's how far they've come, if they got the right hand. It's like how Drytron can play through an Ash on Alpha, but it's better. It's better, genuinely. Jesse Cotton made a good point in one of his more recent videos talking about the super heavy samurais and saying that they may serve well as an engine. However, the decks you choose to play it in an engine as right now, bro, you really got to figure out how you want to build that. Are you really going to commit to no spells and traps? I mean, if you start with these things, that's great, but then you also stick 8 to 10 dead cards in your deck at the same time. So, as an engine or as a deck on its own, I'm going to stick it right. This is a tough one. All right, I'm going to let personal bias creep in. It's probably right there. It's probably at the top end of tier 3. I think people are still going to try and play it. Genuinely. I think people are still going to try and play it. You know what? Fine. I'm letting everybody get to me. We'll stick it in tier 2. Soul Peacemaker is still at 3. Not once per turn. It's got the power of something like Ben 10 on its side. This deck is still legit. It's still legit. I'm gonna stick it where it belongs. We'll stick it at the tail end of tier 2. Very well. People are still gonna play this guy. We may be very well impressed with how it ends up doing. Finally, the dinos. They've got new support coming around the corner. I'm not really taking that into the account right now. It's probably gonna be out, or is out right now. The new dino support. Not to mention the fact they've got dang long access as well. That's kind of scary. But I don't think they're going to do it as well as Sword Soul or as consistently as Sword Soul. Again, don't get me wrong. Dino's very, very good. It's a very strong deck. But I think it has a few more known choke points than Sword Soul does. Sword Soul has a little bit more resiliency. And obviously, Misk is still at 1, bro. After that one Misk is done, an Ash on Misk is still like snipe. It's really, really hard. It's really, really hard to recover from. It's worse than an Ash on Branded Fusion, I would argue. So my mans. Unfortunately, I'm going to stick him right here in the rogue strategies here. I'm going to stick him right behind Striker. Stick it right behind Striker as well, honestly. That's how much I disrespect Pearly. That might be pushing it kind of far, but regardless, I already made a bunch of enemies with this tier list, bro. I think this is probably going to be the most disliked video on my channel. And hey, that's alright. You're totally entitled to your opinions. With all that being said, I'm going to take a quick reassess right now. And we're also going to properly place Drytron on this list. Tier 1's looking pretty correct to me. Honestly, genuinely. I think that is very accurate breakdown of Tier 1. Branded, kind of the best deck. Labyrinth and Cash Tier, pretty much even Steven around there. Sprite Knights, bro. Sprite Knights still going to be putting in work, 100%. Tier 2, I'm thinking Sword Soul, definitely. Rika, definitely. It's been topping for months, dude. We've seen top back in tier format. That deck is insane. It really is. Just needs a really good pilot behind it. Eldritch, heck yeah, man. Oh, it's a good deck. It's a good purple card deck. I gotta say honestly. And honestly, Super Heavy is still gonna see play as both an engine and as a strategy. It's just more can be hurt more by hand traps. That's really all it comes down to. You still have room to play them, though. You know what I mean? You can stick a bunch of hand traps. And that Monster Mash deck, I'm sure it'll be very, very fun. Tier 3? Yeah, this is feeling pretty good to me. We might move some things from Rogue up to Tier 3, if we're being honest. But, yes. Tier Elements, still Tier 3. 100%. Even with all the hits, bro. Bias is creeping in on this one a little bit. Too bad. And honestly, Dragon Link with Bestials, man, that was creeping in, topping from time to time as well. And it's still got a lot of power behind it. I think the biggest thing that runs against Dragon Link is that most everybody who's in the competitive scene kind of knows what it does at this point. So you might know how to side against it. You might know how to counter it with what you have available to you. Just things to keep in mind. But I still think it's very, very powerful. And depending on the prevalency of light and dark cards, it may continue to be a good format for Dragon Link with the Bestials to do well. Alright, quick little revision to the Rogue list. I think I was disrespecting Striker a little bit more. I'm going to put it at the top of Rogue with all the new support. Genuinely. Man, it's also got new support coming down the pipeline, and the cards that came off the list, I'm going to give it the respect that it deserves. Put it at the top of Rogue. Closely followed by the Exo Sisters. We've got our Dinos. Yeah, this is seeming okay so far. Pearly, yeah, dude, it's Rogue, man. It's Rogue. Come on, let's be honest here. Even beforehand, Nor was very outable, and now the deck cannot OTK nearly as easily, if at all. So, I mean, I don't know. Zeus Turbo, neg from hand heavily, have to play a big Dark World package. I don't know, man. Trap Tricks, Chris Hansen deck. Yeah, you stay right there, Chief. Mana Dome. I think I'm disrespecting this deck a little heavily. I'll be honest. I think this one may prove to be better than where I'm placing it, but it's stoppable. Draco Slayers, bro, again, sure. But yeah, Draco Slayers, back end of Rogue. Same thing for Fluanderies. Man, Robinia, Harpy's Featherstorm, those are still scary cards, bro. Honestly, no cap. I move that one up. I move that one up, 100%. And finally, in the Biff category, we got the Dinomorpheus, bro. How that deck top, bro? I think it's because people didn't read those cards, man. I hate that deck. I don't even think it's that good. Have fun burning off all your own life points to kind of stick yourself into a burning fire. Finally, last thing we got is to properly place Drytron. Alpha Zeta is still a hell of a thing. We've got a lingering effect that locks the opponent out of the game. But we still... And we got a second copy of Orange Light, bro. We got a second copy of Orange Light to go with that. Man, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful life. But we do still struggle against the Droll and Lockbird. We got backup plans, but it's tricky. It's tricky. And if we're eating too many hand traps, like, this is the big thing for me. If the format goes towards board breakers, Drytron's looking very nice. If it sticks around the super duper 2 to 3 to 4 opening card hand traps type format, it's going to be a little trickier. So with my honest to God placement, sticking it right here. Sticking it right here in tier 2. Right here, right next to super heavy. It's still got that thing of the fact that it's a 2-card combo deck. Now, mind you, is it the most powerful 2-card combo deck ever printed? You bet your flippin' sweet bippy it is. But this is my genuine honest placement, guys. All these decks have the ability to top, except for Dinomorphia and some of the other stuff in Rogue. That's a little bit more garbage. But genuinely speaking, bro, this is the best assessment I can give right now in the State of the Corn format. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know how wrong I got it. Let me know where you place other things I forgot. Don't forget, Runic is on there. Runic's in tier 2. I know I forgot it. Logan, JYA, sign off. Have a great day. I'll see you beautiful people later. Peace.